Welcome to Align and Grind, the new podcast where the work and the woo meet to bring you business strategies aligned with astrology. My name is Karen Kleinwort, and my co-host is Heather Mattoon. Heather?
And I am an astrologer, so I will be bringing the woo into the work.
And we are unscripted. So, what you're going to find when you join us live for these strategy sessions that align you and your business along with your astrology, that you're going to get us, and we're not going to be perfect and we're going to make mistakes. So, come join the fun. Today's our first podcast. This is the first recording. So, we're excited and I think a lot of nervousness. I don't know. What about you, Heather?
I mean, a lot of nervousness on my end because I don't do this. This is new. This is definitely me stepping into my astrology chart and trying to be an Aries because we always grow into our sun sign. So I'm thankful for you and all of your experience and everything that you've done to get me out of my shell and mentor me. So thank you.
You're welcome. And it goes both ways. With Heather's help astrologically, there's been a lot of new information that I've been able to incorporate and start to look at it from a business decision perspective. And it's been really insightful and super helpful. So I'm really grateful for that. To kind of give you guys a bit of background on who you're going to be tuning into and listening to every week. Heather, do you want to give everybody a short synopsis of kind of who you are, where you came from, and what got you into astrology?
Yeah, so I've been interested in spirituality and the deeper meaning of life for a very long time. I worked in a completely normal field, 22 years. Uh, Never thought that I would step out and do my own thing. I was terrified. I had just this inner knowing that it was time. And looking at astrology, I saw that this was a perfect opportunity. And that's why it's so important for us to do this right now for others, because I see us moving into an era where we have prosumerism. So I think that's how it's pronounced, where we're going to be buying from each other. So products and services. It's not going to be the big corporations, the big box stores. And we're moving into that. So it's a really pivotal time in humanity. And I knew that it was the right time for me. When I contacted you, Karen, I was a mess. And so I did the one-on-one coaching, and we did that. How long did we do that? 6 months?
Yeah,
Yeah.
6 months. Yeah.
And I went from complete novice. I didn't know a thing about how to do this. It was terrified. And so I've really developed and learned so much. And so, yeah, it's kind of like a perfect synergy here where we can have these two worlds meet.
Yeah. What's interesting is astrology's been around, I mean, obviously for like ever, but for me personally, going through just getting tax season, of course, right? We're at the end of March, middle of March. And I ended up coming across, I haven't shared this with you yet, but originally, look at 1999.
Oh, wow.
So was I found when I worked with an astrologer the last time, and I was like, oh my goodness, okay, this is really, I'm gonna have to show you that.
Oh, I
Um,
can't see it.
yeah, and so it's like this, it's almost like a book. Like she wrote so much information. She was amazing. She still is amazing. But so astrology has always been part
Mhm.
of my life. And as
Mhm.
a holistic business coach, Reiki master teacher, cranial sacral therapy, it's always that mind, body, spirit
Right.
combined. And
Mhm.
astrology just is like this natural fit
Mhm.
with it, and it's, yeah, they talk about being the stars aligned, but it's really how all the energy, like universal life, all comes together. And
Mhm.
it's so interesting because it does dictate, whether we realize it or not, how we make our decisions.
Right.
And I think it's one of those things where people go, I didn't realize I was going to say that or I was going to do that. And look, it's supposed to be that way. So, so I think working together now, this is like our relationship has changed and
Mhm.
in which I love because it's grown. And I was talking to somebody earlier today and I said, no, I'm busy. I said, my business BFF and I are starting a podcast and
I-
today's the first one. So,
So exciting. I know,
yeah,
I was telling people too, and they asked for, they're like, send us a link. We want to understand this. We want to know more. So it's exciting. And like what you
yeah.
said, it's been around for thousands of years. As far as we know, I'm sure it goes back a lot
Or,
further than what we know. But
yeah.
yeah, people worked with the natural rhythms and the natural cycles and had more outdoor time. Now we're inside. We're not watching all of these patterns and seeing how things.
Mhm,
So really looking at that and seeing how impactful it is and how so much of what we do now is based on it, even if we don't realize it. How we plant and how our holidays are set up. I was just looking at Easter. Easter is always the first Sunday after the full moon that precedes the spring equinox. So it's funny how that's all kind of, it ties into so much
mhm,
in our daily life, but also in so many of these spiritual modalities too. There's astrology behind it. So
yeah.
yeah,
So it's
so
interesting because I had a conversation with my mom. We were talking about like Easter, and she's like, "When is Easter this year?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I can never keep track." And she said exactly that. It's always like the first Sunday after, and she was like almost verbatim what you said. And I'm
yeah,
like, "Okay, so you're 84 and you don't really follow astrology, so it's kind of interesting that you're pulling that out of your."
that's great.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
awesome that she
So I
knew.
think that's how it's so integrated. We don't even realize it's integrated into our society and how we just do things in
Yeah,
general.
right.
So
And
so I'm excited about
me
where
too.
this is going to go and how we're going to do this.
Yeah.
I think today it's really about giving our audience time to meet us and see how you do what you do
Mhm.
and how it affects like the small business side and the like as a business owner. And so correct me if I'm wrong, but you've already done my chart, right?
Yes. Yep.
And so
Mhm.
right, so then you're going to kind of walk through. So I'm going to be
Yeah.
your we're going to kind of live show you how this actually works.
Yeah, absolutely. And one
So,
thing I mentioned too is that, we're starting at the beginning of Aries season because we want, well, the sun is putting a spotlight on that Aries energy. We want to focus on those areas of life. So even if, and I will have a tutorial on here to show you how to pull up a free birth chart calculator on my website, so you can follow along with your chart. But even if you don't want to get that invested in it, and I will keep it very simple, you can follow along just with us through the seasons because it'll be, important. What is that?
that's my dog.
I thought
So
your stomach was growling.
yeah. So when we said it's unscripted, this is where it's unscripted.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have my daughter come and get our dog because she's choosing to. Okay, let me text her. Come get Roxy.
I mean, that was fun. She can stay.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to leave.
Oh, yeah, she's gonna want me to let her out. No, Roxy, Phoebe can come get you. You're fine. So,
So, yeah, so like when we start with Aries season, we're talking about our the the energy of Aries is the initiator. It's bold, it's taking the lead, it's being independent. So, doing something that you want to do for yourself, not asking for permission. And you also think of it as, in the spring here in the Eastern Hemisphere. Oh my God, I'm not
Eastern,
gonna
yeah,
get out. Okay, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
Western Hemisphere.
in the Western Hemisphere. Um, yeah, spring. So it's fresh, it's new, it's being born, it's cracking from the egg and,
Mhm.
taking a risk and being vulnerable too. A lot of people don't realize all that with Aries. They think they're just bold, but they're learning, they're fresh. It's like youth. And then Aries is related to the first house, which is self and identity. So that would relate to like personal branding. So that's really important. Anyways, we'll go into that more in our second episode. But yeah, let's go through your chart a little bit.
Yes.
And
Awesome. Okay.
I,
So
yeah.
how do you want to start?
Well, I'm not going to get super nuanced with it because I want to make this as simple as possible. So let's just go through all of the houses. And
Okay.
we'll talk about, even though Aries is the natural ruler of the first house and it works counterclockwise around your chart, we
Okay.
all have our own unique charts based on the exact location and time that we were born. So for every house that I go through, you have your own zodiac sign that is on the cusp of that house. So we'll kind of mesh those two energies together. And that's part of where astrology is scientific. That's why we can pull it up on, on the computer and it's all calculated. It's very mathematical, but then there's an art to it as well, where you kind of mesh things together.
Okay. Awesome. So you sent me my chart. So I have my chart here in front of me.
Fine.
So that way I can look at it.
Yeah. So as you know, your first house is Scorpio, and that's also your ascendant. I will mention that you have your Mercury in Scorpio and your Sun in Scorpio. So it's very intensified. So Mercury is how you communicate. The Sun is your core identity. And that first house, the sign that's there, is how you are perceived in the world and how you present yourself, which is intense, transformative, and like having a lot of depth. So that's how people perceive you. That's the first impression.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like deeper, right? Like it's not really superficial. Like it's,
it's a magnetic presence too. So when you walk in a room, people will notice. They'll know that you have knowledge, that you have depth, right?
Yeah. There's not really a lot of hiding.
Like it. And then the second house is related to finances and money, of course, and then also what we value. And your second house is Sagittarius, right? I'm going off memory. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Which is well, I guess it would be a Scorpio's first anyways. And so that is expansive energy. So that is growth over time. That's setting that long-term vision. That's building something as your business grows, and then always like reaching higher, being very optimistic and looking for, different avenues, different strategies, and continuing to develop.
Okay. So as me as an individual, or kind of like the business side?
So that's both. So it's you as an individual.
Okay.
But that would reflect into your business strategy too. So as far as like finances and wealth go, it's like continuing to push yourself for like a higher and higher vision and seeing the big picture, maybe breaking it down into smaller steps, but constantly raising the bar.
Okay. Yeah. Nothing is ever, it's never the end, right? It's like I don't ever seem to be satisfied. Like I kind of like it's within grasp, and then I move the goalpost on myself.
Goalpost.
Right? Like I'm always like, oh yeah, no, I can go better. I can go bigger. I can, okay.
Another thing I want to mention is some of these things we just do. It's just part of our makeup. And part of astrology is that we're like also growing into those things. So sometimes we may do things differently, or we may be conditioned to do them differently. But if we lean into our own unique blueprint, it can really like accelerate our business and our goals. So.
Okay, good.
And then the third house cusp would be Capricorn, and the third house is about communication, also learning. So I guess that would be like marketing, right? For business side. I'm sure that's what we'll talk that week.
Yeah.
So Capricorn is that stable energy. It's has structure. It's the mountain goat. So it's
Okay. Yeah.
making its
Yeah.
way,
Scaling, right?
right? It's
Yeah.
scaling. Thank you. I need
Yeah.
your cab. With that Mercury in Scorpio. My
Yeah.
Mercury's in Pisces, so I'm a little flowy with I think
It
everyone can read
works.
my mind and understand.
Yes.
So yeah, it's building that stable connection, that stable business model. Like I know when you taught me how to like market myself and what my messaging was, you really drove that home. And looking at your chart, I can see like, oh yeah, this is important to her. This is important to your brand and you personally. And I see how important that is. And I need
Yeah.
that structure in my life. So
I think we all do, but
yeah. And it's also like practical. So instead of like trending, doing like the trendy stuff,
Yeah.
your way is building that rapport or that's showing yourself as an expert in your field rather than just I'm going to try these trends,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Because then it becomes more sustainable, right?
sustainable, another good word.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, because if it's a fad thing, right,
Mhm.
then there's no longevity behind it. And so you're always having to come up with what's the next best thing
Right.
and outdo the last one, where when you build a message that's authentic, you're building something that's going to be sustainable, that
Yeah.
will flourish for a long time and not just
Right.
a short time. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's
Mhm.
original thought too. It's not just we all take from different things, but it's not just copying, right? Yeah.
Right. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So great.
Um, okay, so your fourth house is going to be your business foundation. So in the chart, it's at the very base. In normal astrology, I guess if we were just looking at a person, that would be like your home, but it's also your foundation. So this would be your business foundation. And you have Aquarius there. So this is community, should be the foundation of your business.
Yeah.
Being innovative,
Yeah.
outside the box. It's the
Yeah.
humanitarian energy. Um, Doing things different, but always looking at the future. It's very future focused too.
All right. Yeah.
Kind
And
of,
that totally plays into the women's business resource community,
yes. Yeah.
right? Like, I mean, it's when I started it, this is take two, but when I started it, it was before Facebook, it was before social media really was a thing. And so to now come forward, 14 years later to kind of do it over again, it's it's still new because the concept is new from an
Mhm.
accessibility perspective, and it is about community first, right?
And you always
So
come back to that, right? That
yeah,
building this community and
yeah,
in a
yeah,
group that, mhm.
yep,
Yeah,
yeah, because you don't do it alone.
right.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah,
your fifth house is ruled by Pisces. So the fifth house is about your creative self-expression and where you interject your fun, and it's a visible area. So where you really bring yourself into it. Um, I love when I see all these connections because yours is ruled by Pisces, which is intuitive, and you have I know you, so I know how
mhm,
intuitive you are, and you have a lot of that in your chart as well. So it's bringing in that intuitive side, really probably feeling out your clients and
mhm,
understanding their needs before they do sometimes and asking the right questions. And then it's also, I think, dreaming up these new ideas. And I know you get a lot of downloads and know what
mhm,
direction you need to go in. And so, yeah, it's just taking that part of yourself and making that even more visible.
mhm. I'm impressed that you have this all like off the top of your head, like you've not almost memorized the whole thing.
I know. Well, I have a visual mind, so I just
Yeah.
picture your chart in my head.
That's amazing. I'm like, I got it in front of me and I'm like, oh yeah, that's what's there. That's why
Okay.
I keep looking at it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yours was easy. I don't want to complicate it at all, but I do Western astrology and I use the Placidus house system. So like my chart, I have two houses that have the same zodiac sign because some houses
Oh,
are different sizes, but
okay.
have you have a different sign in every house. So it makes it a little easier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What house was I on? And now I'm going to
The
the
fifth, so going into the sixth.
Okay, so your sixth house is your work ethic and it's your daily routine. So that's ruled by Aries, which is working independently, uh,
Hmm.
being fast, taking action, making decisive decisions. Sometimes it can be rushing into things before thinking. I don't really see you doing that. But maybe sometimes you're supposed to like take some risks. I don't know.
Right.
You?
I think I get it my own way that way.
Okay.
Like I think where that's where my strategy mind is like, whoa, take a second.
Mm-hmm.
No, just don't jump in with both feet. You got to think it through.
Okay.
And I force strategy. So it's like that square peg in a round hole situation when I should just let it go and just jump in.
So play with that. That's fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting you say that. Okay. Yeah.
And then your seventh house would be your partnerships and also the clients that you want to attract.
Hmm.
Um, and that's ruled by Taurus. So you want that stable, grounded client and business partners. You want them to understand value and see that things can develop for the long term. So it's not like putting out a quick offer so someone takes that and then see you later.
Hmm.
And I know you, so I know that this is really hitting home, right? You want someone
Yeah.
that they can grow with you and that you can meet them where they're at and they're, dedicated and also you're like nurturing that long-term relationship.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. The quick fix doesn't
Mhm.
work. I
Right.
just it's not something I even believe in. Like, thinking back when I was a personal trainer, you know, like working with clients then, it was like, yeah, you need to start slower. Like this is where you're at and this is where you want to get to, but there's no quick fix to get there.
Right.
Like you've got to do the work. You've got to be able to, yeah, like it's all these different layers. And to
Yeah.
get there, if you don't do those layers, then you'll just fall. So all those quick diets, all those fad diets, right? It goes back to that. None of
Right.
it is sustainable,
Right. True. Yeah, you
right?
build those habits, yeah, and you build on things.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
So
It's fun because when working with you, you met me where I was, and then we built on things, little by little.
yeah,
And I see that with astrology too. There's just all these different layers. There's different ways we can
yeah,
look at it, different questions it can answer, and there's just multiple layers, and you're always learning. So
yeah.
things like that.
And it's about keeping an open mind, right? Like, because then it's like, oh, what did she say there? And then like kind of maybe looking at it from a different
Mhm.
perspective. And it's all about what is the question you're asking?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then what is the astrology telling you to take as guidance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
I love it. It's fun.
Okay. Yeah.
Our
Awesome.
intuition into this, which
Yeah.
is perfect because it takes us to your next house. Your eighth house is all about transformation. So it's the evolution of your business. I guess we could look at it
Okay.
that way, right? Uh,
Yep.
and it's in
Okay.
your chart, it's ruled by Gemini. So that
Okay.
could mean that for your business evolution, you're taking on multiple streams of income, or you're taking on a business partner over time. Um, and it's continual learning because Gemini
Yeah.
is the mercurial, learning, thinking, developing, and then also continuing to build those relationships, through public speaking or teaching and mentoring. Yeah.
Okay. So, which is interesting because, and I'm going to say that a lot because I just find it fascinating as we go through it. And for those that are tuning in, like, yes, this is about me, but you can see yourselves in it. Like even though this isn't your chart, you can kind of say, oh, this is how it's showing up.
Mm.
So for me, thinking about that, like I'm always teaching, I'm always wanting to give information, provide not just value, but insight to people, because I think there's that natural born teacher. Now, don't ask me to teach in front of a classroom. I don't have patience for that. But to teach and to
Yeah.
impart whatever knowledge I have and to kind of give, I think becomes really important. And that's where I see that showing up in
Have you
kind of,
started teaching more? Because since I've known you, like you've always been so, I don't want to use, I know there's another word I want to use, but like reliable, like showing up
yeah,
every week on Tuesdays at 11. I know that I can watch you live for a
yeah,
training. And now you're doing those dailies on Instagram, which is new, but just
yeah.
the short little, tip of
And
the day.
then I do another training inside another big group on Facebook on Wednesday afternoons
So have you
at 2.
increased the amount of, oh, that's great.
Like, yeah. So
Yeah.
like 2 years ago, I wasn't doing anything.
Mm.
And now I've been doing for almost 2 years every Tuesday. And for the last 6 months, every Wednesday on top of that. And then starting at the beginning of March, I've started doing every morning, like a 5-minute quick tip, you know,
Yeah.
whatever on Instagram. Yeah. Yeah.
And that,
So really showing up. Yeah.
yeah, very much showing up and evolving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then it's a confidence, right? Like I got my feet wet with my little small group.
Mhm.
And
Right.
then now, like with the bigger group, so now like my confidence is way more that I've been showing up on a regular basis. It's like that muscle, right? Like that confidence
It
muscle.
makes sense. And
Yeah.
I haven't done much of this, not as much as I should have, but even looking back in September when I did my first video, and I'm like, how does anyone do this? I was by myself staring at a camera and I froze. I know how hard it was,
Yes.
but now I'm
Yeah.
more comfortable, so
Yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah.
I'll get there.
I know. And then here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are doing this. We've never really done this like two-person like Zoom podcast thing, but we're doing it and we're learning, right? So again, we're both stretching.
Mm-hmm.
So awesome.
Love,
Yay.
love, love.
Love
Okay. So ninth house.
it. Mhm.
So that's expansion. It's also about learning, trying to relate it to business because it's
Yeah,
also
that's okay.
spirituality and things too.
Yep.
So your ninth house would be Cancer. And
Okay.
you have your chart in front of you, right? Just check me, make sure I'm on track here.
Yep. Ninth
Uh,
house is Cancer.
okay, so that's very nurturing energy. So that's that mentorship, that's building connections where you feel like people feel at home with you. So
Yep.
it can even be with how you show up, and then how you continually develop those relationships where people can. I think I cry. I'm just gonna say it. Like I cried during one or two or three of our trainings, but I felt like comfortable enough to do that. So
Yeah.
I think that that type of energy where you are a safe space is
Yes.
important as you expand.
Yes. Yeah, right. Like that's the trust level of knowing that it really is a judgment-free zone.
Right.
And and I think that's part of that Reiki, like my Reiki training
Mm-hmm.
is, you set that energetic field that
Mm-hmm.
it becomes this safe environment. So even if you're in public, you're still inside this bubble
Right.
that no matter what's going on out there isn't going to interfere,
Mm-hmm. That's
and
true.
vice versa. So it's
Yeah.
like, it's almost like I always see it as this, because we'd always meet in a coffee shop, right? So I always felt like we were inside this like globe. And
Mm-hmm.
no matter what we were talking or doing, what people saw was likely slightly different than what was the reality
Right.
because of the filter, right?
Right.
So you might have been really emotional, kind of got in touch and gone deep, but
Mm-hmm.
they wouldn't have seen that. They would have just still seen, two women having a conversation,
Right.
right? So it's still like super safe for you, even though you were in public.
Yeah. Not realizing I was doing business coaching.
Right. Yeah.
Like, don't worry, I got
Yeah.
this.
Got this.
All right. So the 10th house is a big one because that's also called our midheaven, uh,
Okay.
the cusp of the 10th house. And that is directly related to our career, our public image, and our reputation. You have Leo there. Leo is meant to shine. Leo is the one that, should be up on the stage, should be the actor, could be dramatic. So you could get dramatic if you wanted. It's also courageous. It's a very generous, energy. And it's how you're seen, like at the very, once people have the first impression, this is where you shine. This is where how you should present yourself in business specifically, but also just out in the world in public, with your reputation. So
Yeah.
that's,
Okay. Yeah.
I know we talked a lot about that one, but
Yeah.
that goes along with the public speaking, and in all the social media content that you do.
Yeah. Yeah. And just learning to be able to laugh at myself and let go of that perfection piece.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think that perfection piece is what always had held me back before.
I think we talked about that. And the next house that we're talking about, the 11th house, is related to how you put your work out into the world. And it's about community and the groups that you associate with. And Virgo is on the cusp of that house. And Virgo is very self-critical, is the perfectionist, wants to get into the details, be nitty-gritty. So I think that maybe that influenced you also, because you felt like
Mm,
in public, in this, with these groups, I need to be spot on. I need to have
yeah.
everything perfect. I can't misstep. I can't miss a word. I have to double check the details. And I know even before we started talking about this, you started presenting yourself as someone who you're like, I might mess up. I might not script this. The
Yeah.
dog barked, like this happened. And I've seen you say that in your training. So yeah.
Yeah. I know. So did you see yesterday's when my video card like cropped out? Like I couldn't believe it. It was like just all these squiggly lines. And I'm like, I don't even know what they're seeing. I don't
Oh,
even
I was
know.
just listening, so I didn't even see it. It pops, I get a
Yeah.
notification and I listened. So
Like
yeah.
I was like going, I don't know what they're seeing. And I pulled it up my phone and it looked normal, like from everybody else's perspective, but I couldn't see it.
Oh,
And
interesting.
so it was just all these black and green and like
Yeah.
red lines squiggling. And so I was just kind of like laughing my way through it. And I'm like, okay, like this is like chaotic Tuesday. Like I didn't think it was gonna be this bad, but we're gonna roll with it anyway.
Oh, that was your Tuesday 11 o'clock training. I did miss that one. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. And so then it was like this, people are going, no, we see you. It's all good on our end. And I'm like, okay, well, let's just keep rolling then. Where I think before I would have like shut it down and just gone
Yeah.
ahead.
And
Yeah.
Mercury is retrograde now, so that's what you blame it on.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was causing havoc.
So the last house is the 12th house, and that's what goes on behind the scenes. Those are the things that people don't see. That's your private world, just for you. Yours is ruled by Libra, and
Mhm.
Libra is asking that you have that work-life balance. So that's about, because you have a lot in your chart that suggests that you could be a workaholic, and
Mhm.
you really put yourself into your work and take it seriously, obviously, but then having that balance too, where you're giving yourself time to do your spiritual practices, which I know that you do, and
Mhm.
balancing out family and friends and fun, and making sure that you can turn everything off and just have care and time too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important. Yeah. That balance. Yeah. Okay. So that's amazing. Like I'm always like impressed because it
So
every time you can hear it's something new pops up, something like there's a new realization. And I know there's
mhm.
way more information. And as the planets change, and here comes my dog. Hi, Roxy. Right. And so
Yeah,
so it's just interesting for me
it's
because
fun.
then so now it's going to be fun to kind of take that and apply it into the business
Yeah.
side, right? And
Very.
how does it support certain business decisions versus, oh, maybe I would not have done that, or
Mhm.
maybe I would have and not realize it.
And
So,
we'll definitely bring that up as we go also, because there is so much more, but I just want to keep this as simple as possible because even this
yeah,
amount of information is
it's a
helpful.
lot.
But you know,
Yeah.
there's the planets talk to each other, and then as things move through the sky to interact. So we won't get into all that, but sometimes I'll bring up little things here and there. Yeah.
So, what do you, based on this, I don't even know what questions to ask. Like, I have so many things going through my mind. So, I think from a business perspective, like, I'd almost want to be able to say or ask, is there a specific house I need to focus on first, or is that how it works?
Um,
Or,
I'm just because I know what's happening in your chart right now.
yeah,
I would say the main thing is doing almost like what we're doing now, where you're unscripted and you're just you and having more fun with it and flowing with it and just really trusting in the process, instead of feeling like everything has to be controlled. So
okay,
I would say that that's probably the number one area,
okay,
just because I know how the planets are moving through your chart right now.
yeah. You have a little insight.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, moving forward, I'm kind of looking at our notes that we kind of made when we were chatting last week. And we put together episodes based on the houses and how they align with different elements of business.
Yes.
So I believe our goal will be to kind of look at, let me see, where is that? We had put together like things like, how does Mercury retrograde really impact our business?
Mhm.
And then we talked about sun, moon, and rising sign, what they say about like leadership or business style, money mindset. And so the episodes, we'll put together like basically like a playlist that we're going to follow along for the next maybe 6 to 8 episodes. And we can
Mhm.
kind of maybe we'll post that for people.
Yeah, that sounds
And
good.
that'll kind of give them an idea of what we're going to be talking about when. And yeah, I think it'll be good because then people can be posting questions
Mhm.
as we go along too.
Yeah, and we can bring in some of what's happening now because I just have to say this because we are in the most intense period of human evolution ever, ever, ever. And right now and tomorrow, so I'll get this posted tomorrow so that people can hear this. Tomorrow is the most, I know I'm going to sound dramatic, but we're in a creation portal. And
Okay.
you want, how you want to create, what you want to do in the world, the dream that you want, like just dream big. And
Yeah.
it's all about making our dreams reality.
Okay.
So
So
if you,
yeah, so we'll definitely be talking about current economic situations as well,
yeah.
especially from a small business perspective, because as you were saying in the beginning, just kind of like the big box stores aren't going to be who we rely on.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be the small businesses. And it's
Right.
going to come back to all of us creating our own source of income.
Mm-hmm.
And so this small business, like what we're doing through the podcast, is really trying to help all of you to say, I can have a business too.
Yeah.
And this is my unique element. And this is how my astrological sign and all of the planets and how things are moving are going to support me in building it successfully.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because I think small businesses, if I'm going to make a prediction, it's going to be small businesses. I mean, they're already the fastest growing, right? Like the US has like tens of millions of small businesses. It's going to be even more so. And you're starting to see like the bigger corporations really take a hit. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to shift because you can see the alliances just globally are changing.
Mhm.
And so the US itself, I think, is going to be forced to change to keep up with that.
Absolutely.
So,
I had someone tell me yesterday, I love when this happens. I feel like I'm going to take a Aries moment here and just say, someone said, you've been talking about this for a long time, about all of these grassroots movements and communities coming together, and it's happening.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's it's going to expand. It's going to
yeah,
be communities, and it's going to be, you provide this, I provide this. Barter, yes, but also just that's who we support, and what we have to go to is each other. So
right. Yeah, yeah. It's still cash basis, but the cash is going to be different.
yes, that will change very,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
soon.
yeah. So,
But good, because we can dream in what we want. And that's kind of exciting. We don't have to be tied
yeah.
to anything. Yeah.
So awesome. Okay. Is there any last things we want to add? I mean, this was a lot of information for me. So like I can feel my head kind of going, woo, which is where the work comes in, right? That was the woo, now the work. So, but
I
I
want,
think,
oh, go ahead.
no, I'm not quite sure
I definitely
how
want
to,
people to know that they can ask questions. So during any of our episodes, if there's questions, and you too,
yeah,
we'll be answering those, because it will be a lot of information, but yeah,
yeah.
the
So
conversation.
so basically what I'm thinking is the first 2 or 3 episodes, we're going to be doing what we're doing now, which is we're pre-recording them. But starting in April, we'll actually be doing these live.
Mhm.
So you're going to grow with us as we grow because
Mhm.
Heather and I have neither done a live YouTube yet.
Mhm.
So that's where we're going to stretch ourselves. We've done the pre-recorded stuff, but we're really going to kind of press ourselves to do different.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we'll be together in a little studio.
Yep. And so look for that change. You'll likely see the backgrounds change. We're putting together the branding along with it, but we didn't want to wait to get the first episode out. Once you can kind of meet us, see what we mean by the astrological side and what Heather does and how it's going to be brought into the business side. And having Heather go through my chart is amazing. So thank you. That was awesome. Just kind of gives you a feel for what the rest of the episodes are going to look like. And hopefully they'll be really good and we're not going to be like, too
I
far
think
off the mark.
it's different. So
Yeah, it's different. I don't know of any other ones out there that are bringing the two together.
yeah, I don't either. And through this, like the cycles of the season. So
Yeah,
hopefully we're original.
yeah,
That's my life goal.
yeah, yeah. Something different, right? We want to be on
Yeah.
the edge. We want to be that leader and really show you guys and model that you've got to take the risk. And I think this is where, we were talking earlier. I don't know what house it was, like the sixth house, or I don't know what house it was, but right where it's like kind of taking the risk without really thinking it all the way through and having a strategy. This is what we're doing. Like Heather and I, we've talked about it, but we don't have anything written concrete for what we're doing. And my notes are really just us kind of brainstorming of what we might want to talk about.
Yeah. I think
So
I like it better this way.
I think so.
I've tried scripts before.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't feel like me.
Yeah. And I get lost. I'd
Mhm.
be end up reading it. I wouldn't be able to just kind of go with the flow. So yeah. But awesome.
All right.
Okay. Well,
Well,
I think that comes to the end of our first episode. I'm excited.
me too.
So hopefully everybody enjoyed it, learned something, and we'll see you guys next week. Any last things you want to add?
No, I think that's it.
Okay,
All right.
awesome. Thanks for joining. This was Align and Grind, where the woo and the work meet. I'm Karen Kleinwort, your business strategist.
And I'm Heather Mattoon, your astrologer.
And we'll be seeing you every week. Thanks for joining us.